Good morning, girlfriends. This morning, when I was waking up, I heard two words come to my spirit: starting over. And as I was coming up the hall this morning, I was thinking, wow, it's another cold morning. So I had to shut all the windows and put on another sweater. And I almost debated on turning the heat on. Isn't that crazy? So I was thinking, I thought, wow, are we started over again to winter? It almost feels that cold. At least it does here. I don't know about where you're at. Hopefully you're in some kind of sunshiny, warm weather. But it certainly isn't here in New Brunswick. Anyways, I guess anything can go. Anything can happen here. But anyways, as I was reading in the book of Ruth, that's what came to my mind. God just led me into Ruth about, and if any of you know the story of Ruth, where she lived with her husband and Naomi, and Ruth's husband passed away, and her sister-in-law Orpah's husband passed away. Naomi was their mother-in-law, and her husband had died. So Naomi had decided that she wasn't going to stay around anymore, since all the men, her sons had passed away, and her husband had passed away. So she figured she was gonna head back to her family, her hometown in Moab. And so she had spoke to Ruth and Orpah, her other daughter-in-law, and said to them, you might as well go back to your hometowns and go back to where your mothers and fathers live, and that's what you were used to. And she says, and I'll just head on to where my hometown was. Anyways, Orpah decided to go back. She listened to Naomi, but for some reason, Ruth, she loved her mother-in-law, and she decided, no, she wasn't going to go back to her hometown. She wasn't going to go back to where her mother and her father was. She really wanted just to stay with Naomi. She wanted to go where she went, live where she lived, and serve the God that she served. See, where Orpah came from, they were into idol worship, and Ruth wanted to go where Naomi was going. So this was going to be a start over, if you will, for all three of those ladies, actually. And but Ruth and Naomi, they stuck together, and this was they were both starting over. Not that Naomi was going to, because she said she was too old to start over and remarry and have any children. But she knew that Ruth was young enough that she could start over. And as you read through the accounts of Ruth, you know, God, even though she wasn't his chosen, part of his chosen people, if you will. She was a Moabite. But he was good to her because she stayed faithful to Naomi, and she looked after Naomi, and she was close to her. So God really blessed her when she was gleaning in the field. And there again, Naomi, because Ruth was so faithful to her and took care of her, she knew that there was the man in the field that where Ruth was gleaning from. The man who owned the field was Boaz, and he was part of her clan, if you will. She was related to him. So she kind of set things up in hopes that Boaz would take care of her so that she would have somebody to take care of Ruth. And Naomi knew she would be okay. She just wanted Ruth to have somebody to look after her. And in the story, we know that it all worked out that way. And, you know, Ruth, it was in her bloodline that when she gave birth to the son, Obed was the father of Jesse, who was the father of David. So you never know who's going to be in your bloodline, do you? You never know who's going to be, who God's going to use to reach generation after generation. And I was just thinking of that too. We, as women of God, daughters of God, we never know how God could use us. We don't know what is in our next season. And maybe there's many of you who are out there who are starting over. Maybe you're starting over in a new job. A new job has opened up, and maybe it's something that you've prayed about. So you're starting in a new job or a new relationship. Maybe you're even starting over, and God's opened a door for you to move to a whole new land. Or you're starting over in a new home, and God's opened that door for you to be in a new home. There's all kinds of different things that we could be starting over in. And I think it's exciting. It's exciting to trust God. I believe we truly have to trust God to just lean on Him and trust Him to see where He's going to take us. I know anytime I have closed a chapter in my life, I never wanted to go back to where I was. I never wanted to go back to that same familiar spot or that same familiar relationship or that same familiar whatever it was. I was always excited to move on for a new start, a new season. And there may be many of you today who you're saying, yeah, it's a little scary, but you're ready to move on. I know I am. I know I am. It could be even a new start for some of you too. As I was listening to another lady, she said she was a little nervous and wasn't so excited about being an empty nester. Now, I've been there for a few years, and yeah, it's a sad thing to see your last child leave the nest, so to say. It is a whole different, it's a whole different way of life. Especially if you've had a lot of children and you've came from a big family, you're used to all that fast-paced life, all the noise, the hubbubaloo, if you will. You're just used to it, and then all of a sudden there's silence. It can be a little, it's hard at times. But anyways, I know that God has always has good things in store for each and every one of us. And just like Ruth, she went with her mother-in-law to a new land that she didn't know. She was alone. She was starting over. So she started over in a whole total new land. She also started over in a new, I don't want to say religion, but she was serving a God. She was serving the one and only true living God. She wasn't serving idols. She wasn't worshiping idols. And then she started a new relationship with a new man, a new husband. And she had children for the very first time. So God really blessed her over and over and over because she trusted. She trusted in Naomi's God. So I can say, girlfriends, for each and every one of you, when you put your total trust in God, He will never let you down. He has good things in store for you this season. Just keep pushing forward. And as each and every new door opens up, have faith and step forward. Step out into that deep waters, if you will. Because God is going to be right there with you, because He's already went before you. And He's right there with you. And He's going to lead you through the whole thing. I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen in this new season. I hope that I hear some stories from some of you who maybe are heading into a new thing, whatever it may be. I hope to hear some testimonies or some stories, your stories. If you can leave messages on any of these videos at any time, I go back and I'll check into it and see who's doing what. So I just speak blessings over you today, and I just pray that you'll go forward. Go forward with Jesus and know that He has good plans for you. You never know who you're going to be meeting. You never know what divine appointment God may have for you. You never know what new friendships are going to come along your way. Just as this past weekend, God orchestrated a little get-together with 3 friends that I have known for a long time. And we spent the afternoon just talking, and we had a wonderful time. And that's all we could keep saying, is we just enjoyed our afternoon so much that the time went by so fast we didn't realize it. But we really enjoyed it. So it was a divine appointment from God. And I just thank God for all the things that He's doing. Be blessed today, girlfriends. Keep smiling and keep pressing into the Lord and see where He's going to take you. Until next time.